Outstanding results in Singapore League Championship for the women who have had to do it tough all season long, down a number of key players. And I guess that's as good a place as any to start with Mark Robinson, CEO of New Zealand Rugby. Welcome to the show and thanks so much for your time. I know you don't have a lot of it at the moment. It's a busy time, but a fantastic result overnight for the program, Robbo.
Absolutely, yeah, we're delighted, and thanks, Suma, and welcome back to you too.
Thanks.
Good to have you on board. It looks like a dangerous team I'm sitting in studio with, so all the best in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah,
I mean, you're right in your intro comments that both teams have been through some fair challenges with injuries and different things in the environment, but mainly unavailability of players. So it's really nice, as we're not far out from the Olympics now, to see consistency not only in Hong Kong with double titles and then again overnight. So look, they'll all the kind of mindset both of these groups have. They'll be searching for those little improvements still, but there's no doubt they're hopefully building a bit of continuity and a bit of confidence leading into Paris.
A wee story coming out last week, end of the week, that World Rugby's looking at that Sevens series again, and you might not be able to speak to World Rugby's plans for it, but if they do want to return to what was a promoter model originally for the Sevens, would New Zealand be a chance to maybe look at hosting a league of the Sevens again? Would they be in the running too?
Look, we really don't know. So to take a step back, Sumo, we certainly raised questions about the future of the series back in March when we were in London, and World Rugby had committed at that stage to go away and think about, post-Olympics, what the series could look like. And to be honest, we haven't heard too much more from that time. So I'm back to the UK on Sunday. We have a session with World Rugby at the end of that week, and we'll hopefully get a good update on it. But you'll see from looking at the crowds, Singapore overnight, unfortunately, it wasn't great.
Yeah, surprising.
The Dubai's, the Hong Kong's, definitely still massive tournaments, great parties, great rugby. But unfortunately, there's a lot of tournaments at the moment that aren't really necessarily driving a profitable model.
Yeah.
You're talking about the model and being profitable. Why have we gone away from fans being disinterested in the product? I watch that product. It's fast paced. It's entertaining. There's different games throughout the day, so you're getting a bang for your buck. But fans aren't attending that. I thought Singapore, you'd sell that out easily.
Yeah, we're not close to all the work World Rugby are doing to sort of answer those questions, Izzy. I think sometimes you have the format issues, because of the player welfare, you're unable to play games back-to-back or as quickly after each other with some of the leading teams, which might drive some consistent engagement from the fans. So that could be one thing. I think we have to understand the star player profile power of the tournament compared to when we talk of times with Kelly and Lomu and these guys, everyone harks back to those days. Well, it's just different now because of the scheduling around the 15s tournament. So there could be something in that. But, when you watch it, when you are engaged, when you know your team's on, it's certainly great footy, and it's just a shame that the way the scheduling works, you can't always sit down and watch, say, a couple of hours of it and watch a lot of quality rugby that you'll necessarily want to see.
Quality rugby was certainly on the agenda over the weekend in Super Rugby. It's maybe been a bit of a slow burn so far, the competition, but there's been nothing wrong with the on-field product. Where are you and your Australian counterparts in terms of your impressions so far of the competition, where it sits, and of course now the appointment of a commissioned CEO as well for Super Rugby? That's a lot to take in and consider at once, but are you happy is generally the gist of the question.
Yeah, we're delighted. I'm not so much in a slow burn space, Scotty. I think it's come out. I think it's come out of the blocks. I don't want to disagree on question 3 in the morning, but I think it's come out of the blocks really well. And the information we've had through from Sky last week, around traditional viewership up again, double digit on top of last year's significant double digit, is great around viewership and all of the different forms that people are watching rugby, and is up significantly, over last year. So we're really pleased with what we've been able to introduce into the competition in terms of the next stage of the shape of the game work with laws and speeding it up and keeping the tempo going, less intervention. It's also no secret we've benefited from some strong rivalries and uncertainty of results in games too. So, even over the weekend, clearly some upsets, which gets everyone talking. I think the Monday morning water cooler chat is often a good litmus test for how your competition is going, and it feels like ours is creating a bit of a stir most Monday mornings, which is pretty cool. So next steps, definitely we're welcoming Jack into the role of CEO for the Super Commission, along with Kevin Malloy as chair there. He will have a really strong 100-day plan to get stuck into this work that, you're right, mainly centres now on what can we do around fans and stadia, because that's one area. Although we've had a small increase on last year, we want to do more there.
Yeah, it's the metric, it's the optic, isn't it? You want full stadium, and that's not always easy, especially from a Blues point of view. It's a big stadium, Eden Park, but you'd want to be above that 14,000 mark, wouldn't you? Which the Chiefs seem to be getting on a regular basis, around about 12, 13 for the Crusaders. But full stadia just makes the whole competition come to life.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I think sometimes we forget too that our purpose-made stadiums for rugby and the bigger stadiums are all historically made for the All Blacks. So when we talk about, and we often reflect, look at the stadiums in the UK or France and these other club competitions we see, well, a lot of those are between 14 and 18,000 seats in terms of capacity. So if you look at our average crowds and stadiums like that, they would actually look, really
okay.
Cool. Yeah. But when you're playing in front of 45,000 seats or 30,000 seats, that's a bit of a difference. So we have to think a bit more creatively there. I was certainly down. I was at Chiefs Hurricanes a couple of weeks ago, and the way they set the crowd up there, I think they had 16 or 17,000 there. How they were using the big screen, their engagement with fans was awesome. I was really impressed. And the game was great itself. It was great footy on the park, and you had all sorts of different fans from, young nippers into the more veterans of us all. Really enjoying it for different reasons. So look, we know we've got work to do, but we are identifying some solutions, and we're working bloody hard at it.
And a solution for that, Robbo, something I've thought about for a very long time. And we got a competitive competition. Australia are competitive. The Bledisloe Cup, I cannot wait to see that play out later in the year. But then you're thinking expansion. Is there an opportunity? Are we in talks with an expansion, maybe to another union, potentially like a Japan? I know there's LA in 31 with the Rugby World Cup. There's the MLR over there at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's a great question. And the last 28 years or so of Super Rugby have had various iterations of expansion and contraction, haven't they? So there's a lot of learnings probably sitting there for us to pick up on. And then we have, I guess, the benefit of a CEO coming in full-time who's going to be fully dedicated to consideration around that work, and likewise with the board. So one of the key next opportunities in that space is for the 2026 season, where the media rights cycle's obviously starting again. And it's no secret there's been conversations with the likes of those unions out of South America, North America and Japan. But I think we need to go back, and broadly speaking, there'll be a sort of notional criteria around high performance outcomes, commercial, what does it do to your cost base, how does it connect with fans, can we create the talent bases in those regions to be highly competitive coming in, because we all know we don't want expansion teams who come in and really struggle to start. And if you look at the Sunwolves, they obviously did. If you look at Drua, an amazing example of what a great expansion team can do. And if you look at the Hagueres, slow burn, I'll give you that one, Sumo, but then made the final the year before, unfortunately, COVID ripped us apart. So there's lots of learnings there, and yes, definitely conversations with all those different parties as are sort of ongoing.
Robert, we don't have too much time with you. We'd love a bit more, but I want to briefly touch on things that are going around the boardroom at the moment, because I'm sure, and we spoke about this just before you joined us in studio, rugby wants headlines on the field, not off, and you do get your fair share off the field. How desperate are you as a CEO to make sure that this is handled and you can move on? Because I dare say it's been exhausting for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty clear, haven't I, that this is not an issue for me to be stepping into at all. I'm not involved in a lot of deliberations around it. It is a board matter around governance, evolution, and Patsy's doing an amazing job working with all the different vested or interested parties in it, based across our membership. So That's first things first. But you're right. There's no doubt that unfortunately in the last 5 or 6 weeks, when we see amazing things going on in the game, actually, we're really heartened by what we're hearing out of community rugby at the moment. Some of the initiatives were put in place there for slightly tweaking the laws and different formats and that sort of thing through secondary school and junior club rugby. I was down in Opanaki on the weekend at an old high school first 15 reunion watching Coastal play Southern.
Jeez, you're looking sharp for a Monday then. The big hay bales, grandstands, beautiful day, hundreds and hundreds of people all around. There's great things happening in rugby all around the game, but there's been no doubt that over the last 4 or 5 weeks, the governance issue has cast a bit of a shadow over the game, and we hope that, I think everyone hopes now, that we can find a way to draw a line behind it and move on, because there's just too much important stuff happening, which is great for the game. Olympics coming up. As Izzy says, we've got an incredible international season, Black Ferns and All Blacks all around the world. We think Super Rugby will draw to an amazing conclusion. You've got derbies coming up, in these next few weeks, which we think are going to knock the lights out around, attendance and viewership. So we've internally, Sumo, we feel like we've had a really strong start to the year. We feel like we've come out of the blocks really well when you compare the last few years when there's been different things going on. So we'll keep focusing on that the best we can, and we've just got to lead our people the best we can to reassure them, we're on the right path with the whole lot of things we're doing, and hopefully this governance matter gets resolved quickly.
When you think about your job, I wouldn't want to be there. Wouldn't want to be sitting in your seat having to deal with multiple problems, good problems probably to have in the end. What are your priorities at the moment? What really gets you out of bed to make a difference? I love what I do, Izzy. So I do love what I do. I know how you feel about maybe doing my job, but I have a totally different view to doing it, which is just as well, I guess. So because the board problem is your problem, let's be honest, but it's not, because you're at the front of it.
Yeah, I guess all things relating to rugby ultimately sheep back to myself, regardless, don't they? But why I get out of bed in the morning is I just have a deep, absolute love and passion for the game, and I can see what the game can look like in the future, and I'm really excited about it. I believe we can create a model which is financially sustainable. That's one of the big challenges we've got at the moment. It's challenging. I believe we can get the allocation of funding and resource and the purpose of all our various stakeholders. I believe we can build some alignment and all that, and I think that'll be great for the game. So people are focused on driving community rugby that's open, safe, accessible for people, boys and girls, and developing some pathways that come through that lead into competitions that, again, are well aligned and structured, are clear on purpose, that build winning national teams that keep us where we are at the top of the global stage. Because ultimately those teams in black winning and performing will help drive the value back in and reinvest into the game, and keep it the game we love. We want to be... we want to be out there, we want to be leading, we want to be trying things new and different, as sports do have to do at the moment, to make sure we're relevant and engage with as many people as possible right across the game.
Speaking of funding, Silver Lake deal, tick. Qatari offering billions to host the Nations Championship finals. What do you make of that? Right move?
Well, I spoke last week on that, Izzy, and as I said then, I'll say it again now. Unfortunately, boring answer for you guys this on a Monday morning, but look, we're not talking about the speculation of what might happen around the Nations Cup, but we are pretty excited about the level of speculation and interest it's creating. So this competition, top 12 teams in the world, and I must say a Challenger Series sitting behind it for the next 12 teams in the world, which I think sometimes gets glossed over a bit in the opportunities and pathways that'll create those for those emerging nations, and then a promotion relegation in that space over time too. We're hoping that might come sooner rather than later, but that's something we think we can really look forward to. So the fact that you've got in New Zealand in a few years' time maybe consecutive tests against Ireland, France, England here, leading to a global ladder, leading to finals at the end of the year, all the stories you can build from early July to end of November, culminating in a massive final series somewhere around the world. And we're seeing the world is opening up. There's speculation about what you were referring to before. There is also speculation of other major markets where there's significant sports rights value and also an emerging fan base in rugby. So we'll just have to wait and see. But we're really heartened by the fact there's so much interest in sport at the international level.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot to get through. As I said, mate, we'd love to have you for longer.
Well, I'm free if you want to keep going. You've got to pay the bills probably soon, mate.
We do have to pay the bills, but look,
Now we do.
I know you've... Oh, come on. I know you've got to get up to the UK, as you mentioned, and you'll meet with World Rugby and the exec there. Would love to catch up with you again after you finish the trip and maybe update us on a few of these issues at a broader scale, at a global level that you're contending with every day. But really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. I'm glad you got back down to the first.
I made it home too, which is even better.
Yeah.
So that was good fun. All the good things rugby's about that weekend. It was cool.
SENZ. It's Kiwi for sport.